to kind of put some meat on the bones, right, and do a better job than I did of just circling Pennsylvania.
I'm going to be additive. I couldn't do a better job. I'm just going to make the product you've made even better. So I just want to take a look at Pennsylvania, 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 and what we see is a tightening race in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. All right, this is Harris versus Trump margin in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. A month ago, when you looked at the polls, New York Times +4 Harris, +3 Quinnipiac for Harris, Franklin and Marshall +3 for Harris. But look at polls that have come out over the last week or so, and what do we see? We see a much tighter race. We see a tie in the CBS News YouGov poll. We see a tie in the CNN SSRS poll. And this, to me, is part of an emerging pattern, which is in a very pivotal state. What we saw was a small Harris lead, but within the margin of error, becoming a race that is way, way, way too close to call at this particular point, one that is even.
You say very pivotal the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania could be. How pivotal?
How pivotal. All right, so let's take a look at this particular map. This is with the betting favorites, but with Kamala Harris taking the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania over here. What do we see? We see that Kamala Harris wins in this particular case. Look at that, with exactly 270 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 268. All right, so Kamala Harris wins the Electoral College when she wins the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. But let's take Pennsylvania out of Kamala Harris's column and put him in a Donald Trump's column. Again, with the betting favorites, with Trump taking Pennsylvania. What happens when we turn Pennsylvania red? Well, take a look here. Donald Trump wins in the Electoral College, 287 electoral votes to Kamala Harris's 251 electoral votes. So that is why I say it is pivotal. Yeah.
It is so important. It's worth adding letters. I will say
it's worth adding letters. I can't even get it out. The bottom line is it is so important. This state is very, very important.
It's pivotal, Harry. Pivotal. You could say it. Pivotal and increasingly privative for Kamala. She is officially losing Pennsylvania. They're calling it her Keystone collapse. Her Keystone, make no mistake, Harry Annan of CNN was cherry picking those original polls there. He was finding that those New York Times, those Quinnipiac response bias polls that were also ridiculously favorable to Kamala. They weren't even remotely rooted in reality. Everyone now knows. Everyone now is openly admitting she is losing Pennsylvania. And if she loses Pennsylvania, this is over. But I am getting ahead of myself. I will show you all precisely the proof of this thesis. In fact, as it turns out, it looks like Pennsylvania is actually the least of Kamala's worries. You're going to absolutely love this. Greetings, everyone. It is live stream Monday night. As always, I am your humble host, Dr. Steve, your patron professor, here to help you stay sane in these insane times. So you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. As always, we got our exclusive backstage private Q&A tonight. If you'd like to join our private virtual platform and ask me your questions, just like every Monday night we do, just click on that link below or go to fight.turleytalks.com. Sign up for any level support, and you will be given your very own backstage pass to ask me anything you like, as well as have some awesome fellowship online with some of the coolest patriots on the planet. So just click on that link below, go to fight.turleytalks.com, sign up for any level of support, and we will transition to our private virtual platform where we get to talk about things we're not allowed to talk about on YouTube and for Google and the like. You're going to absolutely love it. Also, I've got a huge announcement. I told you about it over the last few days. I've got some exciting news for all you Turley talkers out there. I am thrilled to announce that I am releasing a brand new book. I have not written a book in years. I think it's been like 3 years. I've written over 20 books, but the last 3 years, it's just been a book writing desert. Well, I'm so excited to announce that I'm going to be releasing my brand new book, and we're planning a special book launch event. Get this, live event on October 2nd, and you are all invited. So what I just want you to do now is mark your calendars. It's going to be huge. We're working on a way for you to reserve your spot for the event. And trust me, you are not going to want to miss it, especially just 1 month, 4 weeks out from the election. Not only are you going to be part of the celebration, but there'll also be some exclusive bonuses just for those of you who join us on that day. So more details are coming. So keep an eye out for how you can be a part of this incredible event. October 2nd. Save the date, gang. I think we're doing it actually in the Keystone State of Pennsylvania. I can't wait to share it with you. My first book in years. You're going to absolutely love it. So October 2nd, and I can't wait to meet you in person at this event. Details yet to come. All right, so the poll devastation just keeps coming in for Kamala. We might call it a blitzkrieg, a bombardment of bad polling for Kamala. Now, we talked about the New York Times poll this morning in our first video. We talked about the New York Times poll that dropped over the weekend that showed that Trump has now officially taken the lead. According to the New York Times' own polling, he has taken the lead in the national poll, which has been ridiculous. Up to this point, it's been ridiculously biased towards the Democrats. Quite frankly, I think it's still biased towards the Democrats. They're just collapsing at such a rapid rate that they just can't hide it anymore. But as it turns out, that New York Times poll was just the tip of the iceberg for Kamala's woes. We now have the new Pew poll that just dropped. That just dropped today after weeks of showing Harris in the lead with an obvious response bias bounce. Again, it wasn't even remotely in the realm of reality, but they wanted to push it so that they could push this narrative with all this glitz and glamour that Harris was voters by the hundreds of millions, by the hundreds of billions were now all embracing Kamala and Tim Walz. Yeah, if you believe that, I've got some oceanfront property in Arkansas to sell you. But they tried to push that narrative, but it's just not working anymore. It is now, according to Pew, Trump and Harris tied at 49 apiece, very similar to the New York Times poll. But just to give you a sense of how bad this is for the Democrats, by comparison, back in September of 2020, it was Biden by 10. Biden, according to Pew's own research, it was Biden up by 10, 52 to 42. It's crazy. And then in September 2016, we saw something comparable with Clinton. It was Clinton up by 7, 46 to 39. And that's just Pew. If we go to the New York Times poll that we talked about this morning, they're showing the same pattern. So head to head, they're giving Trump a slight lead. It's 48 to 47. With a full roster, when you bring in Jill Stein, Cornel West, Trump's lead grows to 2 points, 47 to 45. But if you compare it to the same New York Times poll, their first post-Labor Day poll that dropped at the same time in 2020, okay, it showed Biden again with a near 10-point lead over Trump. Do we have that? Micah, I see we're saying thank you. Let's see. Yes. Okay, good. So I think, so they their Labor Day polling, their first post-Labor Day poll showed Biden with an 8-point lead over Trump, 49 to 41. And Biden ended up barely squeaking by, as you guys know, with just 40,000 votes in November. So we're seeing the same thing with the latest Harvard-Harris poll that also just dropped today. It also has them both tied at 50% each. But again, if we look at September of 2020, with how Harvard-Harris was polling in September 2020, it was Biden plus 7.5. If we look on this, again, the same date, September 9th of 2016, it was Hillary by nearly 3. And of course, she went on to lose. So it actually gets worse. Look at this from Harvard-Harris when we break down the polling demographics. Okay, now we've been talking about this for months. If you've been a regular part of this channel, you will know this information before even Harvard-Harris publishes. You would have known this for months. So make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button if you haven't already done that. Look at urban voters, gang. Urban voters. It's Harris plus 20, but look at Trump's number. Trump is winning nearly 40% of the urban vote, of a vote that often goes 90% Democrat. 40, and by the way, that would include the 20% black support Trump is getting right now that we're seeing across the board in all of this polling. No Republican has seen black support or just non-white, particularly working class support like Trump has literally in 50 years, in half a century. Now, at the same time that Trump is getting record urban support, take a look at the rural vote. Among rural voters, look at Harris. She's dropped just barely 34%. So, and to make it even sweeter, Trump is winning suburban voters. So Trump is getting more of the urban vote than Kamala is getting of the rural vote. Now, what have we been talking about for months now? What accounts for Trump's inordinate strength in 2024? He's maximized his own rural base, all the while minimizing the Democrats' urban base. That's been the secret sauce of his strength. And it has not let up in the least. If anything, it's getting stronger. He's solidified and maximized his rural base from 2016 and 2020. But now what's different is he's siphoning off a record number of non-white working class urban voters so as to minimize the Democrats' margin. He was doing that to Biden, and he continues to do that with Kamala. And so we continue to see precisely what we've been talking about on this channel for months now. Trump today is stronger than he has ever been, all the while the Democrats are weaker than they have ever been against him. Okay, that's absolutely essential for you to get. Remember, I'm your Patriot professor here. I'm here to help you stay sane in these insane times. So to cut through all of the nonsense, all of the puff polling that we've been seeing over the last month that are clear response bias polls. They don't even have any semblance of reality to them. No predictive significance whatsoever, any more than Hillary's leads or Biden's leads had any predictive relevance for what happened in November. Trump today is in a better position to win the presidency than at any point in his political career, while at the same time the Democrats are performing the worst they've ever performed against him. That's the way you can cut through all of this nonsense. I've been telling you that for this last month with all the puff polls, with all the response bias polls that are now crashing, which we knew they would eventually. And they did, and by the way, they did for Hillary as well, but they didn't start crashing until the second or third week of October. Till we really were getting towards the end of October, just like 2 weeks out from the election. Then it started evening up big time because the response bias started getting pushed out and the reality of what was happening started to set in. And there were some people who caught that trend and said, well, we were one of them. We predicted Trump would win in 2016. That's when our channel actually started. November 1st, 2016. I did 7 videos in a row, one video every day going up to November 8th. Did 7 videos in a row where I argued that Trump was going to win. I was calling it the Brexit election, the same headwinds, the same trends that got Brexit over the line, we're going to get Trump over the line. And Hillary basically represented the EU. She represented the establishment, the liberal ruling class that more and more voters were now finally had a candidate that they can rally behind to fight against the ruling class. And so it really goes without saying that the forecast models are now, all of them, every single one of them, are all swinging to Trump right now. Even the 538 one, I don't think I got that one. I missed that one. Sorry, Mike. But 538, so this is different than the Nate Silver. One Nate Silver, the darling of the Democrats. It went up again today, by the way. And that's why the Democrats hate him now. They absolutely hate Nate Silver. This is so funny. The Democrats are now claiming that Silver is a Republican plant. I kid you not. Nate Silver. This is a guy who gives advice to Kamala Harris. This is insane. They're just in total copium meltdown mode at this point. But Nate Silver's forecast model shifted even since our report this morning, which already had Trump at an all-time high in terms of his odds of winning, his chances of winning in November. Now Nate's got him up nearly 65%. He's opened up a near 30-point lead, 29.1% lead over Kamala. She's dropped down to 35% chance of winning this election. And even his old 538 that he belonged to, they still had Kamala with the majority chance of winning. Even they have now switched over and are giving the odds to Trump. And take a look at those. If you look at good, you got a good headline there. Yeah. If you look at Silver's projections for the battleground states, for the swing states, he has Trump now projected to win every single one of them. Every single one. This is what I meant when I said that Pennsylvania was the least of Kamala's worries. I mean, you just got to let all of this hit you. This is the last scenario the Kamala campaign ever imagined in their worst nightmares coming out of their ridiculous convention. Kamala was supposed to be in a double-digit bounce right now. Hillary was. Biden was. They were near 10 points above Trump. Kamala is falling behind after a week of the most fawning glitz and glamour coverage imaginable, ever lavished on a candidate. Has she done one press conference yet? One? No. And they don't care. It's because the press is the one that determines the news. They determine who does press conferences, and they have determined she doesn't need to. So they don't care. But regardless, their shenanigans aren't working. Trump has taken the lead now in every single swing state. You want to put back some of those averages so everyone could see there? Micah, there you go. Perfect. So if you go from the bottom up, I mean, look at these numbers. Trump's got a near 80% chance of winning North Carolina. He's got a near 80% chance of winning Arizona. He's got a near 70% chance of winning Georgia. And then he just, if he's got Arizona, North Carolina, and Georgia, he just needs one of these states. He doesn't need any more. He could take Pennsylvania. I take that back. I think even if he got Nevada, I think he's still falling short there. So he needs just one of the three so-called blue wall states. And what is he doing? He's got a 65% chance in Pennsylvania, 55% chance in Michigan, 54% chance of Wisconsin, and a huge chance, 60% chance in Nevada. No Republican has seen that since 2004. And gang, if you notice the Pennsylvania numbers, 64.9% chance, that's like almost exactly to the tenth of a point in line with Trump's chances of winning the White House. So in other words, he's got a 64.4% chance of winning the White House. At the same time, he has a 64.9% chance of winning Pennsylvania. As you see that percentage grow of Trump winning Pennsylvania, you will see his odds of winning the whole election grow comparably, proportionally, because Nate Silver knows that if Kamala loses Pennsylvania, the jig is up. the game is over. Trump has several paths to 270. Kamala only has one, and that path is through Pennsylvania. It is make or break for her. And the reason election forecasters are seeing Pennsylvania slip out of the hands of the Kamala campaign is because of some pretty dire rumors coming out of her internal polling. Pollsters have access to that polling, and they're saying it don't look good. Where do you see this? But first, gang, if you are just joining us, we've got our exclusive backstage private Q&A tonight. So if you'd like to join our private virtual platform and ask me your questions, any questions you like, questions that we can't even talk about on YouTube, just click on that link below or go to fight.turleytalks.com, sign up for any level of support, and you'll be given your very own backstage pass to ask me anything you like. Just click on that link below, go to fight.turleytalks.com, become a supporter at any level, and we'll transition to our private virtual platform in mere moments where we will have the most wonderful Patriot fellowship together imaginable. You absolutely love it. So just click on that link below right now. All right. So professional pollsters, at least some of them, do have access to the Harris campaign's internal polling. At the very least, the numbers are getting leaked. And apparently it is very bleak. The political analyst Mark Halperin is openly revealing that his sources are telling him, and by the way, Halperin is like center left. He's more pro-Democrat. But his sources are telling him that based on their internal polling, Kamala's chances at Pennsylvania are absolutely imploding. According to Kamala's own people, I want you to get that. According to Kamala's own internal polling, according to Democrat insiders, at this point, they do not believe that she has any chance of winning Pennsylvania, which is another way of saying, again, she has no chance of winning this election. Now, obviously, things can change. Right? There could be some kind of October surprise. They can pull some rabbit out of the hat. We all know that. We do not want to underestimate the ability of Democrats and the legacy media to move things to their advantage, however artificially. But what we do have to understand is that if Pennsylvania is going Trump, and all indicators are that it is, and I've mentioned to you that I see Trump signs like literally everywhere I'm driving through rural Pennsylvania. I mean, if Pennsylvania is going Trump, okay, this is key. If Pennsylvania goes Trump, there is no way Wisconsin is going Kamala. Right? So when Harry Enton, he just made Pennsylvania red just to show you how dominant Trump becomes, how far he surpasses 270 if he wins Pennsylvania over and against Kamala. But he kept Wisconsin and Michigan blue. Make no mistake, if Trump gets Pennsylvania, there ain't no way Kamala is getting Wisconsin. And that's because Wisconsin almost always votes to the right of Pennsylvania. So if Pennsylvania goes Trump, there's no way Kamala gets Wisconsin. There's no way she gets Arizona. There's no way she gets Georgia, because Arizona and Georgia vote to the right of Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania right now is the bellwether of this election. All you need to know is where has Kamala been over the last few days? Where has she been? Do you know the answer? What state has she been campaigning in? What state has she been spending money in? New Hampshire. She's been in freaking deep blue New Hampshire. Deep blue in terms of federal elections. Okay. She's in New Hampshire, gang. There's only one reason she's in New Hampshire. Well, actually two. She's scared to death of losing New Hampshire, and if she loses New Hampshire, she knows she'll most likely lose Maine. So she is scared to death of losing New Hampshire and Maine, and she's spending millions of dollars down ticket on races in otherwise reliable districts because she knows she might implode. And they're trying to do whatever they can to minimize the bleeding. So she is literally collapsing in all the key swing states and then more. And then when you break them down, like in Pennsylvania, we're seeing that she's faltering in the key swing counties in Pennsylvania. And these counties are inordinately working class. They're blue collar. And what was so interesting is when you look at the old polling before Joe dropped out, those counties were at least sympathetic to old Scranton Joe. It looked like they were going to go Trump, but they went Biden in 2020. He won those swing counties because he's old Scranton Joe. He at least had some connection to those rural voters in Pennsylvania. Good old Scranton Joe. And he's been doing that for years. Billing himself as, I'm a blue collar man and blah, blah, blah. But California, Kamala, she's an absolute disaster in those Pennsylvania working class counties. So that's what Nate Silver is seeing. Make no mistake, that's what he's seeing. And there's no coincidence that the chance he's giving to Trump of taking Pennsylvania is almost to the 10th of the same percentage point he's giving Trump of winning the election as a whole. And by the way, that 64.4% chance that Silver's has for Trump as of this evening in his forecast model, that is the highest percentage that Trump has ever had in this entire election coming from that forecast model. Again, Trump is stronger now, according to the trends and where this election is going to go. Trump is stronger now than he has ever been. And again, it gets even worse. In light, too, of what the Supreme Court in Michigan just did, right? We're going to have to be talking about that. But, requiring that Robert Kennedy be on the ballot in Michigan, all the while blocking Cornel West from being on the ballot, talking about election interference. But in light of their Supreme Court is ridiculously liberal. But in light of that, and by the way, stick with me. I'll show you. I think it's going to work in Trump's favor. We'll talk about that on the other side of this exclusive virtual platform in our live Q&A tonight. But check this out. We've got some new data here. Kamala is now actually coming in third place. She's polling third among Michigan Muslims, among Michigan Arab Americans. She's behind Trump and Jill Stein. Now, again, this is an absolute disaster. Remember, it's being widely reported that Kamala passed over Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, which is just a stone's throw away from where I am right here. She deliberately passed over Josh Shapiro purposely and intentionally because he's Jewish. That's being widely reported. Kamala thought he would hurt her in Michigan, among particularly Michigan Muslims, particularly in Dearborn, Michigan, which has the highest concentration of Muslims and Arab Americans in the nation that are all, of course, pro-Palestinian. And she was scared to, and again, we talked about this internal civil war, the Democrats, between pro-Palestinian progressives and pro-Israeli liberals. We knew this was going to sink her. It's going to be part of the sinking ship. It's going to be part of her own internal battles that would end up sinking her campaign. Here you go. It's happening. The irony here is it didn't work. She picked Tim A. Waltz, and she continues to implode in the polls among Arab Americans and Muslim Americans. They don't want her. They'll vote for Jill Stein over her. So this is pretty insane stuff. And again, even Nate Silver Harry Enton has been saying it. Maybe she really should have picked Shapiro. She might be up a couple of points, and she may have been up a couple of points in Pennsylvania, but it wouldn't have lasted because the fundamentals are all there. When all is said and done, the key rural swing states she needs in order to win Pennsylvania are not voting for Kamala. There's just no way around that. They are going Trump. So whether you're looking at the macro polling nationally or the micro polling in terms of Michigan Muslims or rural counties in Pennsylvania, Kamala is collapsing. Now, we have got tons to talk about. We need to talk about the debate tomorrow night. We need to talk about the left-wing activists disguised as judges in the Michigan Supreme Court, and they're ordering Robert Kennedy back on the ballot. We got to talk about Haitian refugees, the Haitian homeless, giving us a cooking class with all kinds of domestic pets, and all kinds of other things going on. Micah, our producer Micah, is behind the camera here. Mike, do you want to do a couple of questions this side of the platform, and then maybe we'll go and
Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah, and have our full private Q&A in just moments. But
All
what do
right.
you got?
Yeah, let's give you guys a preview of what being an insider with Dr. Steve is like. We've got Vlad the Impaler asks, do you think the Haitians eating pets story will be the straw that breaks the camel's back for the white female suburban libs? It's a good question. Some people care
It's a great
more
question. You
about
mean the
their
single
animals than
cat
they do
lady?
people.
Yeah. The single cat lady, right? Yeah. Wow. What a that's great. Yes. I don't know for how many, but yeah. I mean, make no mistake. This again, this is the last thing Kamala wanted at this juncture in the campaign. Trump, right before we went live, Trump just posted on Truth Social a video of Kamala boasting, openly bragging about how she helped bring 20,000. She personally helped bring 20,000 Haitians into this country. Now, of course, you guys all know over the last year, I mean, Haiti's, last year, I can't even remember now. Months, I can't remember. But they've been going through a civil war, and the warlords have been taking over. And it's just, we did a video on it and what's behind that and everything like that. And we're now seeing the literal definition of what happens when you import the third world into your nation. I mean, you're literally seeing, you import the third world into your nation, you're going to import third world problems, you're going to import third world habits, third world customs. And, Haiti, I mean, say what you want. Again, I'm not trying to rip on anybody. God bless them. God bless Haitians and the like. But Haiti is about as problematic of a culture and as an economy as you can possibly get. I don't know. I mean, when Trump came out and said that Haiti was a shithole, I mean, that comment basically got 90% support. I mean, even Tucker did a spot on that saying this is probably the first thing a politician has said where virtually every single American could agree with it. I mean, objectively speaking, I mean, look at it now. It's a mess. And I don't know whose idea it was to fly in 20,000 Haitians into our country, let alone brag about it. But this is a cultural disaster. Haiti it's about as far removed from, classic American culture as you could possibly get. And so these videos of homeless Haitians cooking and eating pets and carrying dead geese in their hands in the middle of the street. I mean, it's just so visceral. I mean, it really does hit home for people. And it's a reminder that this anarcho-tyranny that the Democrats have unleashed on our nation will eventually find its way literally into your own backyard. So I think so. I think this was absolutely devastating for the Harris campaign. Oh, you're muted.
This is definitely a wake-up call for a lot of, like Vlad mentioned, some white female suburban liberal women. They want to feel safe, but when you feel safe, it makes you want to vote for some kind of crazy things because you're safe. You don't feel the threat of what those things can bring, such as socialism or communism. Yeah. So
and you want and you want to keep your cats.
yeah. When it's in your front yard, it becomes a lot.
You don't want Fluffy to turn into soup de la chat.
Yeah. It's a lot easier to talk about rural America than it is to talk about your cat in the front yard. So you're like, okay. All right. We got America the Free 76 asks, I have heard mixed things about Trump's team's ground game. How well do you think we are doing in canvassing, election integrity, etc.? Do you think we are ready for November?
It's a good question, America the Free. I don't know just yet. So I do listen to those who are on the ground, people like Scott Pressler in Pennsylvania. And he's pretty impressed with the ground game that he's seeing rolled out. Because again, Pennsylvania, for Kamala is a must win. So it's not a must win for us. We can lose Pennsylvania and still win 270. But my thing is just shut her out of 270. So you defend Pennsylvania as if it is won, and you do everything you can to make sure she doesn't win it. So you keep her, you're playing offense there. So I think we're doing okay. We have to remember that the absentee ballot requests right now, the vote by mail requests, are down dramatically, virtually everywhere. We're talking 90% in Georgia, right? We talked about this in, I think it was our second video today. Georgia, in this time in 2020, had 800,000 vote by mail requests. That has dropped to just 80,000. It's gone. I mean, that number is literally gone. It's dropped 90%. We're seeing a drop of 60% in Pennsylvania. We're seeing the Democrat share of the vote by mail down in Pennsylvania, with the Republican vote by mail up. So this is telling me that actually its highest levels we've ever seen. So this is telling me that Pennsylvania Republicans are taking seriously what Laura Trump and Mike Whatley have been pushing in terms of early voting. We can't allow the Democrats to amass the kind of leads that they had. It looks like they're not going to be able to do that now in Pennsylvania. It looks great. And then keep in mind, a number of Pennsylvania Democrats actually vote Republican, just like they do in North Carolina. The electorate right now, they've already started to vote in North Carolina. So I did a video on that. I think it's our second video today. They already started voting over the weekend, and we're seeing some pretty impressive things. We're seeing whites as a larger percentage of the voting constituencies in relation to blacks. So blacks made up about 16% of the votes, the early vote by mail votes in 2020. They're now down to about 11%. Whites are still at around 71, 72% as they were in 2020. But as the New York Times polling just showed, Trump has doubled his support among whites. So he won whites by 7% back in 2020. He's now got whites at 14 to 15%. So he's doubled his percentage among whites, and he's doubled his support among blacks. And yet blacks are now a lower voter turnout than 2020. So all the demographics that are coming out look very favorable to Trump right now. And we'll just keep an eye to make sure that the 150,000 poll workers and lawyers that Whatley and Laura Trump have promised to spread across all the polling stations in these key states comes to fruition. So we'll keep an eye on that.
All right. Terry asks, Kash Patel, former chief of staff of the Pentagon in the Trump administration, now predicts Joe Biden will resign in a deal to install Kamala Harris as president and give her the advantage of incumbency in return for her pardon of the whole Biden family. Have you any indication that this is in the offing? And what do you suggest Speaker Johnson and Senate Majority Leader O'Connell do when Kamala nominates Tim Walz for vice president?
That's a good question. So I heard Kash Patel's thesis. We'll see. We'll see if it happens. It seems like it's just a little too late. And the incumbency, I mean, the problem she's running into is this is an incredibly unpopular administration. The policies are, what she's going to try to do tomorrow night is she's going to try to run away from this administration as much as she can. I don't know if she wants the power of the incumbency, as it were. Plus, Trump is technically an incumbent. Again, this is what makes him so formidable. He got more votes than any incumbent ever got in American history in 2020. And so, I don't think Kamala wants it. It may happen, but I don't think she wants it because I don't think she wants to be saddled with the disaster at the border, the disaster of the economy, disaster of inflation, disaster with jobs, disaster of foreign policy. She doesn't want to be saddled with that before November 5th. Now, if she does win, I don't know. I do think Johnson and McConnell should fight back, but I don't expect them to. They're establishment politicians. They are the bane of the Republican Party. They are the reason why the Republican Party is pulling so much more behind Trump. Voters love Trump, but they do not love the Republicans, nor should they. So Republican Senate ticket, the down tickets are really suffering right now, precisely because of Johnson and McConnell. I just don't think they'll fight. I don't think they have it in them. They're establishment guys, and they do what the establishment tells them. The establishment is Democrat. Remember, D.C. is owned by the Democrats. Republicans merely rent, and they don't want to piss off their landlords. So I don't think they're going to do much, to be honest with you.
Rock Dog, one of our favorites, one of our most regular viewers, asks Dr. Steve, the scum at the CDC and WHO just announced the deadliest variant of the coof. Dr. Anthony Mangle is a
Mangle,
Mangle Fauci is recommending that the sewer rats in DC shut the country down. I wonder why. LOL. What do you think? We actually did. Dr. Steve did do a video on this. You might have seen that with Kelly Victory. I definitely recommend you guys all go and check that out. It's a great interview where we talk about exactly this question. But anyway.
Yeah, well, I don't know if this would be a good segue to the private platform, since we get into some issues that YouTube may not like us chatting about. Do you want to do that here, or should we do it? I have one more question.
No, here's just fine. Guys, if you want to ask your questions to Dr. Steve and have him answer them, just click on that link below or go to fight.turlytalks.com/join, and you will be able to partake in a lot of special workshops that we do, some amazing offerings that Dr. Steve has, some great courses and great workshops all around. You get exclusive access to Dr. Steve. And this is really about building a community of like-minded patriots. We really want to be in fellowship with you guys and be in communion 24/7, 365. And we found a great way to do that, which is by making this Courageous Conservative Club. We want to turn everyone, and I know I was myself a cowardly conservative or black-pilled or just afraid, maybe not even necessarily cowardly, just afraid that nothing I did mattered. And we founded this club in order for everyone to really join a movement that is currently succeeding. You're not starting a movement. You don't have to go out and, pick up your gun and go outside and just protect your cat. But, maybe some of you do. But this is just a great movement that you guys can all join. We really want to present this to you as a great gift. And with that membership that you guys would have to the club, you'd also get exclusive access and discounts and free tickets to some in-person events with Dr. Steve. So we really want to give that to you as a gift. And it's really almost more for us than it is for you guys, because we love you guys as a community. Like this, we value this community so much. I have so much fun. I know Dr. Steve, he's always got a smile on his face. He loves doing these live streams with you guys and answering your questions. So the more the merrier. We would love to have you in this in these Q&As weekly. So
do it for your cat.
Yes, do it for your cat. And Catherine Schroeder, one of our insiders, actually said that's why I keep my cat inside. So good for Catherine. That's awesome. All right. Well, we're going to transition over, and we're going to get back to this question, Rock Dog, because we really want to answer it. Absolutely. But we will transition over to our private platform where we will answer all your questions. And that will happen in 30 seconds. See you guys over there.